Hello and welcome. We are back. The SLB show, the London Lions preview. Throughout the next coming weeks, we will be dishing up between Louis and I, kind of previewing each team a bit more in depth and seeing what we think. So first up, London Lions, the defending league champions, new owners, obviously making lots of changes. The return to Europe and EuroCup for the Lions. And they're a very kind of, I don't know what's the right word to hear, a roster full of stars, but also players that can really make a difference going forward. Louis, how are you this evening?
I'm very good, thank you, Grant. Yeah, man, I think this Lions squad is really exciting, and as we've kind of touched on in the pod, like it's not like the Lions of past where they got guys like Sam Decker, like established names. You know, they've kind of signed, like Kameron McGusty, who's expected to be like a really good EuroCup player, but he's coming out of Legia, not, you know, like in the past where they got guys like Conor Morgan from kind of more established clubs. So, yeah.
And I suppose when we look at this Lions roster, obviously this image is in no order. It was almost how it was announced. But what kind of jumps out for me is the fact they've only gone for five imports, not the 6 that the league allows. But they've got 9 Brits listed. So for me, when you look at that, you look at names like Tariq's obviously a GB international. You've got youth players in terms of Matt Goodwin, Kieran Sandy's still there. Aaron Ride, defending league MVP, return of the experienced Ovi Soko. But I think one of the ones we're both excited to kind of see is what Ethan Price can do.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like Ethan Price, he played well. First things first, like on the squad announcement of his signing, something that I found very interesting was the fact that they listed him as a centre, because at Washington State he often played alongside like another big called Dane Erikstrup who signed in the Netherlands or whatever. But he often played alongside another big. So I think that's a very interesting step to take. And obviously they're going to use him as like a stretch 5. So when obviously, you know, someone like Jonathan Williams is off the court, they're going to, you know, pivot to Ethan Price as a stretch 5. And like he's got a very interesting game. Like he has a lot of the qualities of a 4. Like he can attack off the catch, you know, he has a handle and can, you know, drive downhill and attack, you know, defenders downhill as a driver. Like he has a good post game in like inside, you know, he can attack out the post and kind of score with good touch, you know, because he's 6'10", like I don't know, 230. Like he's got very good positional size, but you know, like the size of like a kind of like a 5. But he also has really good shot making from 3. Like Washington State kind of used him kind of like coming off of like pin downs and stuff like that, you know, kind of shooting off tougher threes, you know, so he's a very good shot maker that way. So they can do some really interesting stuff with him. I think he's a guy that will have a very good pro career, and I think he's a really great pickup for the Lions. This, you know, he'll probably be cheaper too since he's a rookie. So yeah,
I suppose maybe the flip side of that scale is, I know one player again we spoke about a lot just in kind of going back and forth, was what Dean Williams. Like he finished the season, or last season I think he played across Italy. He played obviously in Poland with Anvil. I forget where else he was as well, but it was another big league. That was a really surprise pickup for the Lions, getting Dean Williams. He's obviously someone that hasn't largely been involved in like GB circles. So I was surprised to see him on that list. Were you as well?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, well, like it's not really like a signing you'd kind of expect with a EuroCup team, I suppose. But obviously, he's one of the better, you know, British guys out there. So
yeah,
I suppose that it kind of makes sense that way. But like Dean Williams, like he's a very vertically athletic player. He makes a lot of plays as a kind of like a secondary rim protector because he plays often as a 4. Like he's got he's like a stretch 4, solid stretch 4 that can knock down the 3 at a solid clip. can attack off the catch. He's not going to be doing too much offensively, and he can be quite turnover prone. I mean, especially at the EuroCup level, that might be a little bit of a question mark, but, is like vertically, like defensively, like he provides additional values and additional rim protector. So, yeah, I think that's interesting. So, yeah.
And I suppose we are going to go talk about quite a few different players on this list. And obviously we see the coach change, Bozic leaving, Sabonis coming in. I was quite surprised to see Tariq Phillips coming back. We obviously seen what energy and excitement and his leadership qualities that he brings to the Lions the last time he was here. He's left. He finished the season in Israel last season with Hapoel Jerusalem. He's coming back to reignite his rivalry with LaQuincy Rideau, as we're definitely hyping that up for this season. But I'm guessing we're going to see a different role for him. Is that fair to say? Maybe coming off the bench?
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair to say, because I think, Shavar Reynolds will definitely start. And I think with the other import signings, there's not really a space for him in the starting lineup, probably. Like with Mike Sellen, probably Kameron McGusty is at the 2, so there's probably not really space there. But it's LaQuincy, man. He saw LaQuincy's re-signing. He's coming back. That's the reason why.
Is this also potentially one of those ones where we're saying about Reynolds and McGusty? I suppose the big question mark is this roster's got 14 players on it. Is this one of these ones where a Reynolds, McGusty might not play all the time, and actually we'll see more of Phillips domestically?
Yeah, I think you've hit it on the nail on the head, really. There, like, that's probably going to be the case. We're probably going to see more of the British guys in our league, and then obviously the imports more in Europe. So, I mean, that's how European teams, better European teams typically, structure their rotation. So, yeah, you'd think so.
Are we also in a situation where the league MVP for last season, we're talking about Tariq potentially coming off the bench, are we going to see Aaron Rye playing even a smaller role? Like, that's it. He has obviously signed a 2-year contract last season. You've seen obviously the change in terms of what the club's set up with. Obviously that Lithuanian ownership, bringing Sabonis, changing Bozic. Is that one of those questions where actually, obviously Ryan McSell, you'd assume will be the starting player. Is that one of those ones where we go, what difference does Aaron Rye have?
Yeah, I mean,
or is it no difference at all?
What difference will? I mean,
or no difference at all? Sorry.
I mean, EuroCup is it's going to be difficult to kind of project the way he'll play over there. Yeah. I mean, in our league, obviously, he's going to make a difference because it's bloody Aaron Rye and he's an MVP. But that's the biggest question. Like, how will he play in Europe? Because we just don't know. He's never played at that kind of level, so it's interesting for sure.
And then just a quick one. I was having a wee look to see where some of the kind of main Lions players went from last season. You have Stuckman in Hungary, Dallaire signing in Poland, Hatzabekowicz signing in Russia. He was one I thought they might look to retain. Tyler Peterson signed in Lithuania. Holloway's off to Dominican Republic. But Michael Brisker's, I can't find if he's attached to anyone. But when you see those names and compare them to the Lions of last season, that squad wasn't a EuroCup squad. Not at all. Whereas now, you look at the players that they've maybe, I suppose, upgraded from that too. And you go, like, the expectations for Lions aren't just to make up the numbers in EuroCup. It's to prove a point, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, you're not going to enter a competition to just be, entrance, man. You need to, pose like a threat. And I think their recruitment definitely kind of indicates that, they've definitely been quite ambitious, I think, on that regard. So, yeah.
Let's talk one more player before we go look at kind of the depth chart of it all. Is there someone else that you want to kind of hype up now before we finish, or not before we finish, before we go depth chart, and then before we go for your one to watch? Is there anyone else you'd like to chat about?
Yeah, so one guy I think is going to be like, I mean, if he ever steps foot in our league, I mean, it's over. But Shavar Reynolds, like, just because I just watched him against I think it was Panathinaikos in the Greek league, and he's a exceptionally gifted like point guard, man. Like he's exceptionally calm and patient. It immediately like comes off the page how kind of patient he plays in the pick and roll. Like he's really deceptive with the way he kind of uses pace. Like he loves to kind of fake out, that he's gonna kind of slow down and then like changes his pace to get to the rim. Like his one thing that kind of immediately strikes, hits the page comes off the page is like his mid-range shot making. So he shot, I think, a ridiculous like mid-40s or maybe even 50% like off the dribble from 2-point range. And his kind of, because he's also very like comparatively against our league, he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's physical, and he really exploits smaller guards. Like he loves to kind of get into their body and kind of bump off them for kind of easy points in the mid range. But like he's got a really nice like bag in the mid range, like kind of like a little bit like I mean not really like Jalen Ray, but he has nice creativity. Like he loves to use this like up and under move that kind of creates space in the mid range. Like he in terms of translation at the EuroCup level, like he likes to kind of like Nash dribble a lot. So at the EuroCup level, I think he's going to be a little bit undersized in terms of finishing at the rim. He was very efficient at finishing at the rim, but in terms of just like his threat of being a scorer at the rim, which I kind of showed against Panathinaikos, and why he's probably not at the EuroLeague level yet, despite the fact I think he's a terrific point guard. But I think that's kind of like perhaps potentially like a limitation. But yeah, and defensively too, like him and Tariq, because like again he's very physical, but he likes to really get in the grill of like at the point of attack against like point guards and stuff like that. He really likes to get tight to them, and his kind of physical nature, like Tariq, it really like disrupts opposing like point guards and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he's a terrific point guard that's gonna kind of show his stuff in EuroCup. So
yeah, he certainly jumps off the page, as you keep saying. His stats from being at PAOK are incredible. Definitely one that I suppose if he does suit up in the SLB, it's going to be really cool to see him play across the country, how other teams decide to try and play him. A question I have on this London team, and I think it's been brought up a few times online by London's fans, is I think a lot of them expect them to go get a 7-footer or bigger than 7-foot centre or whatever, because they're playing in EuroCup, and a lot of teams there do have that size. Is that a concern, or is that going to be maybe just kind of highlighting the kind of structure that London are going to play? They're going to play a bit higher tempo, use these, like, let's be honest, athletic big guys to their advantage.
So, I mean, in terms of that, you have to speak on, Jonathan Williams, and Jonathan Williams is more of like a mobile, like passing big who's got terrific vision. Like he's more like kind of like a face up big that kind of likes to drive face up, kind of attack, downhill, like off face ups and stuff like that, rather than being like a terrific post guy that, well, obviously that indicates more of an expansive game, probably more kind of potentially more 3-point centric versus the typical, like attacking, like out of the low post. Like, I mean, they will kind of have that with like Ethan Price and Joel Scott a little bit, but it's not going to be that big in terms of their game. They don't really have that because Jonathan Williams isn't like a massive rim protector, so that will definitely be a deficit that they're going to have to kind of offset elsewhere. So yeah, that's a roundabout way of answering that, but
it makes sense. It is one that on paper you go, okay, this is going to be interesting how they're going to do it. And you've just summed up the options available to them. All right, let's have a look now at the depth chart. Is it there? Perfect. So there's our depth chart. We've got it. Louis and I went back and forth on this a little bit in terms of making some changes. But I think this is where we're kind of at. Like when we look at the London Lions team, obviously 14 players. We highlight about players like Tyreek maybe coming off the bench. We've talked about Ethan Price, another one you've got kind of being that second unit. Dean Williams as well. We've kind of talked a lot about the British element of it, especially Aaron Rye as well. A player we've not touched on, when we're looking at that kind of, I always think a big player from an SLB point of view is that 3-man. When we look at someone like Mike Sell, what can people expect to see from him?
Yeah, so Mike Sell, I think, is a really interesting player. So he's very dangerous. It's kind of like a ball handler, kind of like he's really good at if the play breaks down, he's really good at kind of isoing up, like 1v1 kind of scoring. Like he's got a nice handle where he kind of likes to kind of Barkley into post ups and he's got quite a multifaceted scoring game out of the ISO, and that's kind of one of his big pluses. And I think at the EuroCup level, having guys that can, create their own points without needing like a screen or whatever, I think is very valuable. If he steps foot in the SLB, that's going to be exceptionally dangerous. But one issue is, well, not issue, because he's a very willing shooter, but his 3-point percentage is kind of quite inconsistent. He shot 31%, I think, last season. That's the biggest question mark, because he's willing to shoot, which means that defenders, kind of have to go out to him. You can't sag off him, but he's a very streaky shooter. Defensively, occasionally, I think they kind of tried him at the point of attack. Occasionally, he's quite good laterally. I need to quickly check this out because I can't remember what his defensive playmaking stuff was, but I think it was kind of all right. This isn't great content, but
hey, we're all here for it. That's why we do it this way. This is real.
This is real. This is this is off the dome, man. So yeah, it was kind of middling. His defensive playmaking was kind of middling, but what else? His post game dangerous 1-on-1. He's got a nice good floater, attacking off the catch. If he gets space around the free throw line, he rises up the floater. Because he loves to get to the rim and kind of pressure defenses that way. He's not terrific as a finisher at the rim. He shot 50% in the half court at the rim, which is kind of an issue I could see cropping up at the EuroCup level. Because you have to be capitalizing on rim attempts at that level. You're not going to get easy points there, so that could be something that kind of comes up. But multifaceted scorer, can handle out the pick and roll, and score if the play breaks down. Can kind of do some post stuff. Can kind of come off screens and shoot, stuff like that. Moderate volume shooter. Yeah, he's a versatile player basically. So
there we go, Ryan McSell. It's going to be really interesting to see how they balance the minutes between the two guys. At the kind of what we were saying could be their kind of starting three guys. A player that I'm really interested to see how their development grow. Players that have been on the London Lions roster last season, players like Matt Goodwin, Kieran Sandy. I'm just curious to see where they fit in. You always like to see young British guys getting opportunities and taking them. Matthew Goodwin's obviously been highly rated for a while now. He's in an environment right now where he's learning from Tyreek, he's learning from Reynolds, he's learning from McGusty, he's learning from the experience of someone like a Solowade as well. He's in a brilliant environment. From a young Brit point of view, is there any expectations on Goodwin? Is he hoping to get... he played some decent minutes at times last season. Are we expecting to see that again? Do you think there'll be a little bit maybe reluctant at the first half of the season, maybe to give them minutes. Maybe you'll get minutes more during the European stuff. Yeah, what's your thoughts on those kind of things with the young Brits?
So, if we look at the depth chart, it's Tariq then Goodwin at the one spot. So if we think that, like, if potentially Shavar Reynolds doesn't play in the SLB, potentially that's minutes. I do worry that they're kind of, because they did put Amin Adamu as a point guard for some reason on their signing thing. So I do worry that they're kind of going to phase out Goodwin minutes in lieu of that. But like you said, it's a terrific opportunity. I mean, the hope is that he'll get some minutes to kind of establish himself, and we know he's a gifted player. Like he's like in the EABL, like he was one of the top players there. He's got good size for a guard. He's going to be learning off of multiple very good defensive guards like Solowade and Tariq Phillips. So hopefully, he can kind of develop that, because if he can defend, then he can play on the floor. That's the biggest thing. If he can defend, like hit the free, then that's guaranteed minutes. So yeah, if Lions are running away with it the latter end of the season, then maybe we'll see more of him. Hopefully that doesn't happen, obviously. So
we all of us, if you listen to our first preview show of the season in terms of our wild predictions, we all kind of put Lions out in front. But finishing off for this episode of stuff, who is the prophecy one to watch? You went big on Reynolds. Is that who it's going to be? Or who's the one that everyone, including Lions fans, should be looking out for the season ahead?
So I think the biggest swing piece, which is how I'm going to rework this, is how Cameron McGusty kind of plays out in EuroCup. If they're going to have a terrific EuroCup campaign, I think that's going to be a guy. He's like I said previously, he's a terrific shot mate. Like he's a massive guard. He's like 6'5", 6'6". Like defensively, he's going to be a problem.
And he was absolutely loved and adored in Poland.
As we saw it,
as we've seen
those Facebook comments, we did see a lot of that. But like defensively, man, he's going to be a problem. Like he defends at the point of attack. He's quick. Like he makes a lot of defensive plays. He scores a lot in the mid range. That's kind of his thing, because he played like in between like a 102. He was like kind of like a combo at Legia. Like he played a lot as a ball handler. Like his handle in the mid range is like exceptional. It's nasty, man.
Yeah.
Like his bag in the mid range is nasty. But the thing I kind of questioned in the Twitter post was kind of like, because he's not exceptionally quick downhill, so that kind of limited like his ability to kind of get looks there. So that kind of affects his efficiency kind of a little bit, which you saw kind of in Pro A when he played there, I think. But he's going to be exciting, man. Like, I think that's going to be someone that London fans are going to love this season. So that's the guy.
There we go. The prophecy. One to watch, decided by Louis, is Cameron McGusty. All right, this will do for our preview of the London Lions. We are going to try and attack all other 8 teams before the season commences. It promises to be a good one. Louis, thank you for joining. And catch us on the next one.